சொல்லுங்க. ஆமா, ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணி தான் அனுப்புறேன். ஓகே. Kyle and Girisha, can you hear me? Yes, child. May I know who is this? The name of Vijay Prakash. Is it Kyle or Girisha? Kyle and Girisha. Girisha, okay. Very good, Girisha. We just wait for Kyle to join. Okay, just a minute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Um, Kyle, you're not able to. Okay, children. I think both of you have joined the class. Now, let us start the class. Girisha, can you hear me, Girisha? Girisha, can you hear me? Yes, children. We'll start the class in another 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Yes, children. In today's class, we are going to talk about the continuation of the topic that we have learned last class. Girisha, can you just update what we have learned last class? Girisha, can just update what we have learned last class. Can just type what we have learned last class. Till roots. Okay. Then we have to start with yes, child. Thank you very much. So we have learned till root. Next, we are going to talk about the stem, leaves, all those parts we are going to learn it. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll straight away start the class now. Okay, so this page, what we are seeing here, this is the page where I used to write it. Okay, children. Okay, I'll write it here so that it will display to you. This is the board, and This is the where region where I just show the PPT to you. Yes, children. Just a minute. My system is very slow today. Okay. Yes, child. I think now you can see the screen now. Okay, the last class I have explained you about the plants. We started the topic. I've explained about the vegetative morphology and reproductive morphology, and also I have told you to classify the plants. And then we have learnt about the roots, the types of roots and modifications of roots. So you'll be in this week you'll be getting the test from the topic till what we have discussed. I think till the rootless plants that we have discussed. Now I'm going to start with the stem. I'm going to start with the stem. Okay. So the topic stem we're going to start today. First, let me tell you what is the stem. The stem is the ascending portion of the plant. Ascending portion. So this is the ascending portion of the plant that is called stem. And stem, it grows towards the light. It grows towards the light. So it is called as positively phototrophic. It grows towards the light. So it is called as positively phototrophic. And it grows against the gravity. So it is called as negatively geotrophic. So 2 points I've explained here. One is positively phototrophic. That means it grows towards the gravity. It positively phototrophic means it grows towards the light. And next is negatively geotrophic. Negatively geotrophic means they'll grow against the gravity. And the stem, they all actually form from plumule of the embryo. Plumule of the embryo. Plumule of the embryo. What do you mean by plumule? I'll just write it here in the board. Just copy it, children. So you can see it here, the board. let me explain about the stem. If you see a seed, the seed has two parts. One is the embryo and cotyledon. Inside the seed, it has two parts. One is embryo, the other one is cotyledon. The embryo, the other one is the cotyledons. So these cotyledons are reserve food. The cotyledons are reserve food. And the embryo, inside the seed it has the embryo. The embryo has two parts. One is called as a radicle. The other one is called as plumule. The radicle and plumule. The radicle, it gives rise to the root system. And plumule, it gives rise to the shoot system. Radicle give rise to the root system, and plumule, it gives rise to the shoot system. So that's why I have told you the plumule is the one that forms the shoot system. The radicle, it forms the root system. So plumule, it forms the shoot system, and radicle, it forms the root system. Radicle, it forms the root system. So you can see it here. The next point that I'm going to explain to you is about the axis of the plant, the central axis of the plant. You can see it here. This is the central axis. The central axis, you can see it here. This is the stem, the central axis. The central axis of the stem, the central axis of the plant, we call it as stems. And if you see the stem has certain parts are attached to the stem. What are the parts attached here? The buds, the flowers, the fruits, the leaves. All these structures are attached to the plant. They are attached to the plant. And next thing is, the stem, it helps the reproductive organs. What are reproductive organs? The reproductive organs for the plants are the flowers. The flowers are the reproductive organs. Those reproductive organs are present in the stem. And apart from that, stem also has flowers, fruits, buds, all those structures in it. Next is, we are going to talk about the tip of the stem. The tip of the stem, if you observe there, the tip of the stem contains mainly the apical meristems. The apical meristems. We might have studied about the meristems in your 9th standard, class 9th standard. There are three types of meristems are present in the plant. One is called the apical meristem. The other one is called as lateral meristem, and the third one it is called as intercalary meristems. All these three types of meristem, the apical meristem, the lateral meristem, the intercalary meristem, all of them, they are present in the stem. In that three type of meristem, the apical meristem, it is responsible for the elongation of the stem. The elongation of the stem. And intercalary meristems, it is responsible for the elongation of the stem as well as growth. Whereas the lateral meristem, which is on the sides, it helps in the width growth of the plant. That is what you have learned in the lower classes. And the tip of the plant, that is the tip of the shoot, where more cell division process takes place. That's why this structure, if you observe it here, it forms a leaf primordia. These leaf primordia are mainly formed from the apical meristems. Next is, we are going to talk about, I am going to introduce the two terms here. One is called as node and internode. Node and internode. So this is the leaf. The leaf is attached to the stem. So that point where the leaf is attaches to the stem, the point at which the leaf is attaches to the stem, we call it as node. Our node is the region where the leaf arises. The region where the leaf arises, we call it as node. The region where the leaf arises, the region where the leaf arises, we call it as node. We call it as node. So you can see it here in this diagram. This is the leaf, the stem is there. The region where the leaf arises, this part, we call it as node. We call it as node. In between the two nodes, the region we call it as internode. So the region between the two adjacent nodes are called as internode. So node is the region where the leaf arises from the stem, and the region between the two nodes are called as internodes. The region between the two nodes are called as internodes. So this is about the general characteristics of the stem. Now we are going to talk about the types of stems. The types of stems, we have basically two different types of stems are there. One is called as herbaceous stem. If you see the picture here, this is also stem and this is also stem. But what is the difference here? This is called herbaceous stem. This is called woody stem. The herbaceous stems are very soft. You can see the color of the stem. It is green and it is flexible. Sometimes what will happen, if there is a wind flows there, it will bend and it will come back again. And this herbaceous stems are annuals. They can live for, some plants they can live for 1 season or 1 year. Some of them live for 2 years. And some of them are perennials. Perennials, they live for many years. This is about the herbaceous stems. They are green, fleshy, flexible, soft, they can bend, they are annuals, biennials and perennials. Whereas the woody stems are always perennials. They always remain perennial. Then show secondary growth. What is secondary growth? If you observe the bark of the trees, when you take the cross section of the trees, we can see some concentric rings, it will be there. When you observe the bark of the trees, when you observe the bark of the trees, they'll have concentric rings, it will be there, like this. Center part, wood, it will be there. This is the wood. And surrounding that, we'll have some concentric rings, it will be there like this. If you observe the cross section of the bark, the cross section of the tree, we can see the concentric rings, it will be there like this. So they'll be having concentric rings like this. Okay, the concentric rings. These concentric rings are the concentric rings we can see in the case of woody stems. In the case of woody stems, we can see the concentric rings, it will be there in the woody stems. In the woody stem, we can see the concentric rings, it will be there. These concentric rings, we can see it only in the case of woody stem, because in the woody stem, there is a growth takes place. In the woody stem only what will happen? The secondary growth takes place. The secondary growth, it takes place in woody stems. In the woody stems, the secondary growth, it will be there. What is secondary growth? The width growth of the plant. The width growth. The width growth of the plant, we call it as secondary growth. So these are all the growth. So these concentric rings that you can see it in the woody stem, it indicates the year of the plant. year of the plant. For example, just count this as this light wood and dark wood as 1, this light wood and dark wood as 2, this as 3, and this as 4. So we can calculate that the dark and light wood as 1 year. So altogether the plant that I have drawn it here, it has 4 years. The age of the tree is 4 years. Like that, with the help of the concentric rings, we can able to calculate the age of the tree. We can able to calculate the age of the trees. Next, we are going to talk about the regions of the stem. The regions of the stem. Children, I'll give you 2 minutes time. Just note down the regions of the stem here. So this one, just note down the regions here, which is like pith, the leaf scar, the node, internode, all these point lenticels, everything that's given here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these points, make a note of it. Just make a note of it. I'm going to explain in detail. I'll give you 2 minutes time. Just note down the headings alone. Don't write anything there. Just note down the headings alone there. I'm going to explain to you now within 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes for writing. Do it, children. Do it fast. Kyle and Girisha, if you have any doubt now, you can post your doubts. You can post your doubts. You can post your doubts now. If you have no doubts till what I've explained, you can type it there, no doubt. Okay, children, just do it. Children, once you're finished, let me know it. I'll start the class. Very good, children. Thank you. So now I'm going to explain about the various regions of the stem. The various regions of the stem. First, I've told you about the node. Node is the region where the leaf arises from the stem, or the region where the leaf attaches to the stem. The leaf attaches to the stem. That region we call it as node. So in between the two nodes, that region we call it as internode. The area between the leaves, that's called internode. So this is a node and this is a node. In between that node we have the internode. And then lateral bud. What are lateral? Lateral means side bud. The side bud we call it as lateral bud. The bud that is present on the tip, we call it as terminal bud. Lateral means side. The bud that are present on the sides are called as lateral bud. The bud that is present on the tip of the plant, we call it as terminal bud. And in the stem we can see sometimes the scar like this. This scar, it is called leaf scar. Once the leaves fall off from the stem, they made a scar there. That scar is called leaf scar. And apart from that, in the stem we can see some small openings in the stem. That openings we call it as lenticels. The opening that is present in the stem, we call it as lenticels. The opening that is present in the stems are called as lenticels. These lenticels, with the help of these lenticels, transpiration takes place. With the help of the lenticels, transpiration takes place. What is transpiration? Transpiration means water loss. The water loss takes place, that is called as transpiration. Through the small opening that is present in the stem, that is called as lenticels. In the stem, there will be a small opening is there. That openings are called as lenticels. Through that lenticels, water loss, transpiration process takes place. Such type of transpiration, we call it as lenticular transpiration. Such type of transpiration we call it as lenticular transpirations. With the help of the lenticels, the water loss can take place. Such water losses that occurs to the lenticels are called as lenticular transpiration. We call it as lenticular transpirations. Next we are going to talk about the functions of the stem. The basic functions of the stem are transport of water and minerals. We all know that the root absorbs the water and it transports to the stem. The root absorbs the water and transports to the stem. With the help of the stem, the water and minerals are transported throughout the plant. Similarly, the stem, it stores the food. And also, the stem helps in transportation of food. Sometimes the stem, it will be green in color. It does the process called photosynthesis. So I'm just explaining the primary functions. They are transporting water and minerals. they transport the food substances. And also sometimes the plant, the stem, it will be green in color. It does the process called photosynthesis. And also the stem, it has vegetative part as well as reproductive part. What is vegetative part? The vegetative parts are the leaves, the fruits, the bud. These are all vegetative parts. Whereas the reproductive parts are the flowers. Because I told you already, the flowers are the reproductive part of a plant. The flowers are the reproductive part of a plant. This is about the primary functions of the stem. Next, we are going to talk about the secondary functions of the stem. The secondary functions are storage. It can store food. For example, the Solanum tuberosum, Colocasia, Gingerbread officinale. These are all food storage. They can store food. And second type, they are involved in perennation or reproduction. For example, Gingerbread officinale, Curcuma longa. Curcuma longa means the turmeric. And water storage. For example, the Opuntia, this is the stem. We can see that the needles, these needles are the leaves. The needles are the leaves. The leaves here in the case of Opuntia is the Opuntia, it is a cactus. It is a xerophytic plant. The leaves are modified into spines, whereas the green color part, what we are seeing here, that is the stem. In sometimes it helps in buoyancy. The stem helps in buoyancy. Buoyancy means floating. For example, Neptunia or Nilumbia, that is the lotus, they are involved in buoyancy, floating. Photosynthesis. See here, the Opuntia, the stems are green in color, so it does the process called photosynthesis. Protection. Stem, it contains, sometimes it has spines in it, which helps in protection and support. It gives mechanical support. These are all the secondary functions of the stem. Next, we are going to talk about the types of the stem. Before that, the modification of stems are given here. I want you to copy this slide, the flow chart. After copying it, just take a photo and send it to me in WhatsApp. Once you've done that, I'll explain about the modifications of stem. Children, I'll give you 5 minutes time to copy this slide. Once you've done it, take a photograph and send it to me in WhatsApp, and then I'll continue the topic of modifications of stem. Just do it, children. Yes, you can start now. After completing that, take a photograph and send it to me in WhatsApp. Children, have you all finished, children? Have you all finished? Yes. Yes, child. Very good. Yes, child. Very good. Very good. Kailash, she has sent it. I hope Girisha also you could have done it. Yes, children. Very good. Yes. So we'll start the types of stem and then I'll move on to the modifications of stem. In the types of stem, we have 4 different types of stems are there. 4 different types of stems are there. One is called caudex. With the help of this diagram, we can be able to understand the type, children. One is called caudex. In the caudex type, what will happen? It will be unbranched. You might have seen coconut trees, palm trees. Am I right? So it will be long. At the top only, we'll have the leaves. This is called as caudex types. Caudex. And excurrent. Excurrent means the lower part of the stem, it will be thicker. See here, it will be thicker. When it goes to the top, it will become thin. So it will be like this. At the bottom, it will be broad. And when it goes to the top, it tapers. That type is called excurrent. Excurrent. Pinus. And next is deliquescent type. In the deliquescent type, there will be a main stem, it will be there, and that main stem, it has many branches like this. You can see it here, this is the main stem. The main stem divides into many branches. The main stem, example, the tamarindus. And culms. Culms are, example, bambusa. In that stem, the nodes and internodes are clear. You can see that this is all the internodes. This is the node. You can see it here, right? The divisions. So each bar, this one, 1, 2, these are all the nodes and internodes. That is called culms. So 4 types of stems are there. Caudex, excurrent, deliquescent, and culms. These are all the 4 types of stems. Next we are going to talk about the modifications of stems. So far we have learnt about the characteristics of the stem, and then we have learnt about the functions of the stem and then types of stems. Now we are going to talk about the modifications of stems. In the modifications of stem, there are 3 types of modifications we can able to study. One is called aerial modifications. Aerial. Aerial means above the ground modification. Stem above the ground modifications. The second type is subaerial modifications. On the ground. Children, understand 3 types of modifications. Aerial modifications. Aerial means flying above. Above the ground modifications, it will be there. Subaerial means on the ground. Underground means under the ground. So 3 types of modifications we can able to see it in the case of stems. One is aerial modifications, subaerial modifications, underground modifications. Aerial modifications, subaerial modifications, underground modifications. These are the 3 types of modifications. First, I am going to explain to you about the aerial modification. In the aerial modification, we have creepers, trailers, climbers. In subaerial modification, runner, stolon, sucker, offset. In underground modification, bulb, corm, rhizome, tuber. These are all examples for that. First, let me explain about the aerial modifications. I have told you aerial modification means what? Creepers. These are all plants that growing horizontally on the ground. They grow horizontally on the ground. In the ground surface, they will grow horizontally, and wherever the nodes are there, when the ground closer to the ground, it will grow. When it closer to the ground, it will grow, and at each node, it produces at each node, it produces the roots. At each node, it produces the root. Okay, so you can see it here. They'll grow horizontally on the ground. Wherever the nodes are there, in that region it produces the root. For example, oxalis, cynodon, centilla, these are all examples of creepers. Creepers means they'll grow horizontally on the ground. Next is trailers. Trailers. The trailers, we have three types are there. Always these trailers, they'll have the weak stem. Weak stem means the stem it will not stand erect. Always the weak stems, the stem it will not stand erect. The stem it will not stand erect because they are weak stems. So what will happen? Automatically it grows horizontally on the ground. But what is the difference between the creepers and trailers? The trailers, it will not form the root at the nodal region. The trailers, it will not form the root at the nodal region. Whereas the creepers, wherever the nodes are there, what is node? Node is the region where the leaf arises. In that region, it forms the root. It forms the root. But here, the root formation will not take place. That is the difference between the creepers and the trailers. And the trailers, we have three types. One is called prostrate. Prostrate. A stem that grows flat on the ground. A stem that grows flat on the ground. Examples, Evolulus indigofera. Children, in this topic, morphology, you'll have lot of examples are there. I know it is very difficult for you to understand, but difficult to remember. What you have to do it is, in each type, write the example and then write thrice. Read, write. Read, write. You will remember easily. Okay, children. Next is decumbent type. Decumbent type, the stem grows flat. See a difference here. The stem, it will grow flat. When it comes to reproductive stage, it will be erect. What is reproductive stage? You can see it here, the flowers. The stem, it will grow horizontally. Whenever the flower formation takes place, it will become erect. That is called decumbent. Decumbent type. A third one is diffuse. The third one is diffuse. A trailing stem with spreading branches. With more branches, it will be there. That is called diffuse type. The first type, the stem grows horizontally flat on the ground. That is called procumbent or prostrate. The decumbent type, the stem grows flat on the ground whenever there is a reproductive stage. Whenever there is a flower formation, it will become erect. And third one, the trailing stem with spreading branches. That is called diffuse type. These are all three types of trailers. Next, we are going to talk about the climbers. You might have studied about climbers in the lower classes. The climbers, they'll have a very, very weak stem. Very, very weak stem. So, always they depend on some other plant or some other object for them to climb. For example, you can see it here. In this picture, they are attaching to the another plant and growing. Whereas you can see it here, they are attaching to the another non-living object, the fence, and it is growing there. For them, they have the weak stem, so they need some organ for them to climb, for them to support. While they are climbing, they want to expose their leaves to the sunlight. They want to position their flowers for pollination. For that, they use this special organs for them to climb. We have two different types are there. One is called the root climbers and stem climbers, and hook climbers, thorn climbers, tendril climbers. These are all 5 different types of climbers are there. So you can see there, first one is root climbers. These plants, they climb with the help of the adventitious root. For example, the beetle in Tamil it is called vetchilai, that beetle. What the beetle it will do, it attaches to a object, a stem, the other plant, and where the node is there, in that node they develop roots. With the help of that it will attach. The help of the root, they will attach to the object, attach to the support. That is called root climbers. Stem climbers. The stem climbers, they'll have a special structures, it will be there. For example, you can see it here. The stem itself, it will climb, it helps in climbing. The stem itself, it will coil around. You can see it very clearly in this picture, how it is coiled. That is called stem climbers. That is called as stem climbers. That is called as stem climbers. And third type, the stem climbers, the second type itself I am explaining more. In the stem climbers, depends on which direction it is climbing, clockwise or anti-clockwise. If they are coiling clockwise, it is called dextrose. If they are coiling anti-clockwise, it is called sinistrose. Dextrose and sinistrose. These are all 2 types of climbing. Dextrose and sinistrose. Next we are going to talk about the hook climbers. Hook climbers. Just observe the picture here. Observe the picture here. See, just observe the picture carefully, children. In the picture, they'll produce a specialized hook-like structures for them to climb. They develop a specialized hook-like structures for them to climb. That's why it's called hook climbers. In the case of Artabotrys, in that plant, the inflorescence axis. What is inflorescence axis? Inflorescence means cluster of flowers are called as inflorescence. The inflorescence axis, it forms a hook. In the case of calamus, the leaf tip, you can see the leaf tip here. The leaf tip, it will forms a hook. In the case of bignonia, there are 3 leaves are there. In that, one leaf is modified into hook, which helps in climbing. In the first type, Artabotrys, the inflorescence develops into a hook. The second type, calamus, the leaf tip is modified into hook. In bignonia, the leaflets, there are 3 leaves it will be there. In that one leaf, it will become leaflet. And in the case of hugonia, the axillary buds are modified into hook. So with the help of the hook, they helps in climbing. That's called hook climbers. And next is called thorn climbers. Thorn climbers. Thorn. You can see it here in the bougainvillea, caricia. In those plants, they'll have, with the help of these thorns, they will climb. With the help of the thorns, they will climb. That is called thorn climbers. Next is called lianas. They are called woody stem climbers. We can see it in the case of forest. In the forest, the woody perennials climbers, it will be there in the tropical forest. So all these structures what we are seeing there, they are the climbers, the woody stem climbers. Hyptage bengalesis, Yentera, Bahunia. In those plants, in those trees, we can see that they'll have the woody stem climbers, it will be there. They'll have the woody stem climbers, it will be there. The next is tendril climbers, it will be there. Tendrils. You might have seen these type of tendrils as climbers. These are all the tendrils, a specialized structures for them to climb. See here how it looks. Like a spring it will be there. In the case of Lathyrus, the leaves are modified into tendrils. In the case of Pisum sativum, the pea plant, the leaflets are modified into spines, modified into tendrils. In the case of Clematis, the petiole, what is petiole? The stalk of the leaf. Petiole means stalk of the leaf. The stalk of the leaves are modified into tendrils. And in the case of Gloriosa, the leaflets are modified into spines. In the case of Smilax, the stipules are modified into spines. These are all climbers. Next we are going to talk about the aerial modifications. I'm going to explain about few things here. I'm not going to explain everything in detail. Whatever is required for you, I'll do it. Just now I completed aerial. Next we are going to talk about the stem thorns. So you can see it here. This is phylloclade. Phylloclade or cladophil. Here, this is the modification that you can see it in the case of xerophytes. Xerophytes. What are xerophytes? Xerophytes are a plant that grows in dry conditions. Here, in those plants, the leaves are modified into spines. The spines, what we are seeing here, all these are all leaves. But the flat green part, what we are observing here, that is actually a stem. That is a stem. The stems, it becomes flat. It will become swollen. It contains lot of water in it. It will be fleshy and green. It does the process called photosynthesis. These structures are called as phylloclades or cladophils. This is that. Next is stem thorns. Sometimes the axillary buds of stems, they form a thorn-like structures. The axillary buds of the stem, it forms a thorn. In the case of roses, you can see it like this. The buds, it will become a thorn. Next is bulbil. These are all modifications of stem. The bulbils, which are involved in vegetative propagation. You can see them. These floral bud, the bulbils, they are all vegetative or floral bud which is involved in vegetative propagations. Vegetative propagation. Increasing more. That means here the vegetative parts are involved in reproduction. You can see it here. From the one floral bud, you can see n number of bulbils are formed. Next is thalamus. This is another modification. You can see it in the case of plant. Thalamus. What is thalamus? The base of the flower. The base of the flower, we call it as thalamus. Can you see it here? This is the base of the flower, in which all the floral parts are arranged. That is called as thalamus. Base of the flower, In that, four parts are there. What are the four parts? You can see that sepals, petals, stamen, carpel. Four parts, they are arranged in the thalamus. This is another modifications. Next, we are going to talk about the subaerial modifications and underground modifications after a short break. We'll go for a break for 5 minutes and come back. And after the break, I'm going to explain about subaerial modification. Children, you can go for a break and come back. Once your break is over, after 5 minutes, after 5 minutes, I'll just explain, I'll continue the topic. Now we'll go for a break for 5 minutes and come back, children. Children, shall we start? Kyle, Kyle and Girisha, shall we start? Yes, children. So we'll start the subaerial modifications. We'll do about the subaerial modifications. Girisha, can you hear me? Kyle, are you there? Okay, thank you, child. The next topic is about the subaerial modifications. We have learned about the aerial modifications. The next is subaerial modifications. The subaerial modification, the first type, we're going to talk about the stolons. The stolons. See the picture here. This is the main plant, the mother plant. From that, there are branches. From that, there are branches here. That is called a stolon. The stolons, they are slender lateral branches that originate from the base of the stem. See the difference here, you need to understand that in the case of stolons, the branches are formed from the base of the stem. The branches are formed from the base of the stem. You suppose the stem is like this. Suppose the stem is like this. This is the mother plant. From the base of the stem, the branches, it will arise from the base of the stem. From the base of the stem, the branches, it will arise. And those branches, it grows above the ground. It grows above the ground and it produces the leaves and the roots like this. It touches the ground and produces the leaves and the root. And this, it will become a separate plant. This is stolon. Stolon, the branches arises from the base of the stem. The branches arises from the base of the stem. That is called as stolons. That is called as stolon. The next type Example, the example for stolons are peppermint, the Mentha pipertia, and Frageria indica, strawberries, wild strawberries are examples for stolons. The next is called runner. Runner. The difference, more or less, it is same. The stolen and runners are the same. In the case of stolen, the branches arises from the base of the stem. But here, it arises from the basal internode. Basal internode. Basal internode. We know what is internode. The region between the two nodes are called as internode. In the basal internodal region, the branch arises. And the branch, it grows horizontally and move away from the mother plant. And there, it develops the other plant. The daughter plants are formed. This is the mother plant. From that, the base of the stem, it forms from the internode of the basal internode of the stem, it forms the branches, and that branch, it touches the ground, it forms a leaf and the adventitious root, and this it will become a separate plant. And this branch that move away from the mother plant, we call it as a runner. So what is the major difference between the runner and the stolen? In the case of stolons, the lateral branch, it arises from the base of the stem. Whereas here, the lateral branches arises from the basal internodal regions. The basal internodal regions. Okay. So next is sucker. The sucker, it is an underground runner. See here, this diagram, you have to see it like this. This is the soil, the surface of the soil. And here, the underground runner, they'll form the plants underground like this. It will come underground. So the sucker is an underground runner. We know what is runner, right? Runner means they form from the basal internodal regions. The branches are formed from the basal internodal regions. That is called runner. The runner, it grows throughout underground and it will come out and develop into a plant. That is called sucker. That is called a sucker. Example, chrysanthemum, musa. Musa means the banana plant, and bambusa. Bambusa means bamboo trees. They will form the branches like this. They are called as underground runners. We call them a sucker. And next is offset. Offset. The offset is a type of runner that mostly seen in aquatic plants. The aquatic plants. But in the case of runners, it will be thin branches, it will be there. Whereas here in the offset, it will be thick. Shorter and thick. Shorter and thick. This is called offset. Example, water ashen, Ecornia and Pistia are examples for offsets. Offsets are mostly seen in aquatic plants. Aquatic plants. Next, we are going to talk about the underground stem modifications. The underground stem modifications. In the underground stem modifications, we have bulb. Bulb. Example, the onion, the garlic, All these things comes under the category of bulbs. And here there are two types are there in the case of bulb. One is called tunicated bulb and fleshy bulb. What do you mean by tunicated bulb? The whole shoots are covered by a membrane called tunica. For example, onion, the outer layer is there, right? The outer layer is called as tunica. And this is the case of garlic. Each and every shoot, it has a tunic. This is called compound tunicate bulb. This is called simple tunicate bulb. This is called fleshy bulb. First, let us learn about the tunicate bulbs. Okay. So next, we're going to learn about the tunicate bulb. I've told you the tunica is the layer that covers the whole leaves. For example, in the onion, the part what I'm just highlighting here, these are all the leaves bases, the scales of the leaf. And there will be a very short stem here and the root. And these concentric layers that you have seen in the case of onions, they are fleshy scales. The fleshy scales. The whole scales, they are all covered by a membrane called tunic, a protective membrane called tunic. In that we have simple tunicated bulb, example onion, Allium cepa, and compound tunicated bulb, Allium sativum, that is garlic. This is the garlic. And the third one is the scaly bulb. It is also called the fleshy bulb. It will be like this, exactly like this. In the fleshy bulb, if you observe them, there are fleshy scales, it will be there, but those scales are not covered by the tunic. The tunic, it will not cover that. The fleshy scales are narrow, they will overlap one another and they are arranged in a margin. See, they are arranged in a margin. Example lily, this is called scaly bulb. This is about the different types of modifications of stem. Next we are going to talk about the branching pattern of the stem. The branching pattern of the stem. There are different branching patterns we can see in the stem. One is called lateral. In that we have racemose are indefinite, cymose are definite, and then we have dichotomous. In the cymose type, we have uniparous, biparous, multiparous type. So first let me explain about the dichotomous. In the dichotomous, you can see it here. If you observe this type of branching in the stem, one main stem it will be there. It separates, it split, give rise to two apical branches. So it goes on like this. One apical branch, it divides into two. Now this apical branch divides into two. This one divides into two. Again this one divides into two. This is called dichotomous branching. Dichotomous branching. This type of branches are called as dichotomous branching. In the case of Lycopodium, we can able to see that. And next is lateral branching. These lateral branchings, which are arises usually from the lateral buds. What are lateral buds that are present on the side? It's called lateral buds. They are called as racemose or cymose. The racemose are monopodial branching. So there will be a straight stem axis on which the lateral buds grow in acropetal order. What is acropetal order? The younger one, it will be at the base. The older one, it will be at the base, and younger one, it will be on the top. So you can see it here. The older one, it will be at the bottom. Younger one, it will be on the top. This is called aeropetal order. There is only one branch here, so it's called monopodial. And next is cymose branching. The cymose branching, the apical bud, it dies here, and two side branches it will develop. There will be end of the apical branch, the apical bud. There will be side branches are formed. This is a delicution form. Multiple branches it will be there. Many branches it will be there. That's called cymose branching. Cymose branching. Then we are going to talk about the types of buds. The types of buds. Children, the types of buds. These are all the types of buds based on activity. Based on activities. Active, dormant. Some buds, they will grow immediately once they are formed. They become active. Once the bud is formed, immediately it will become active, and they are usually called naked. Such type of buds are called as active buds. Dormant bud. The bud, it will become dormant. What is dormant? The term dormant means resting phase. The plant or bud, it will take rest for short or longer periods. That is called dormancy. Buds, they become dormant. They will not grow for short or longer period. They are covered by protective scales. There will be waxy coatings or resins, it will be there. That's called dormant type. They will have a protective covering made up of waxy coat or resins. What are resins? Resins are waste produced by the plants. And based on position, we have normal bud. Normal bud growing terminal or lateral. Apical bud. Apical means the bud that is on the tip. The tip. You can see the apical bud here. I have shown a diagram to you. So this is terminal bud, apical bud. Like this bud, it will be there. The bud that are present on the sides are called lateral buds. So lateral buds and terminal bud. These are the two types of buds are there. Lateral buds and terminal buds. And in the lateral buds, we have axillary bud. Axillary buds arises in the axil of leaf. That is near the nodal region. That's called axillary bud. The bud that is growing near the nodal region, the region where leaf arises, it is called axillary bud. An accessory bud that arises side or above the axillary bud. So you can see the diagram here. This is the terminal bud. This is the axillary bud, the region where the leaf arises. And accessory bud. Accessory bud means the bud that are growing in the axillary region, but on the sides. They are called as accessory regions. Extra axillary bud, they arises on the node. An adventitious bud. Adventitious bud can be positioned other than the normal. They have not been apical bud, they have not been lateral, they have not been the nodal region, but some other region. For example, epiphyllous buds, it arises on the leaves. Colline bud, they arises on the stem. Radical bud, they they arises on the roots. These are all different types of buds based on positions. Next is we are going to talk about the types of buds. I have told you about terminal bud, which will be at the end. They are present at the end of the stem and branches. That's called terminal bud. Axillary bud, it will be on the nodal region, sides. And adventitious bud. This bud, it will grow any part of the plant except the apex or lateral side on the leaf. Accessory bud, more than one in axil of leaf. This is the axil of leaf. If it is more than one, is called accessory bud. If it is only one, it's called axillary bud. This is about the types of buds. The next topic we are going to talk about the leaves. So far in this class I have explained you about the stem. Next we are going to talk about the leaves. The structure of the leaf. The modification of the leaf, we are going to learn it after 5 minutes. After 5 minutes break, we are going to learn that. Okay children, now just go for a break for 5 minutes and come back. And after the break, I am going to explain to you about the structure and modifications of leaf. Children, if you have any doubt, you can post your doubts now. Welcome back, children. Welcome back. Welcome back, children. The next topic that we are going to learn today, it is about the leaf. It is about the leaf. So far, we have learnt about, in the previous class, we have learnt about the roots and the modifications of roots. In the second topic, in today's class, we have learnt about the stem and the modifications of stem. The next, we are going to learn about the leaf. The leaf is a very important part of a plant. Why? Because leaves are the one that is involved in the process of photosynthesis. The preparation of food. The preparation of food by the plant, it occurs only in the leaves, because leaves have a specialized type of tissues called mesophyll tissues. In the mesophyll tissues only, the plant produces its own food. So the leaf is there. The base of the leaf, we call it as petiole, or the stalk of the leaf, which connects the leaf blade. This is called leaf blade. Leaf blade to the stem, that is called as petiole. It is the stalk of the leaf. Next is the blade or lamina, the flat green portion that you are seeing it here, that is called blade or lamina. It is mainly extended from the petiole. Next is the veins. The veins are, if you see the flat green portion of the stem, portion of the leaf, the whole thing is called as blade. Whereas here, you can see the branches. These branches from the veins, the center part is called vein. From that, there are a lot of branches are there. This is called midrib. The center part is called midrib. From that, the veins are there. So I'll draw the diagram for you so that you can understand it better. So you can see the diagram, children. So this is the petiole. And then the leaves, it will be there. So the center part of the leaf, this is called as midrib. Midrib. And the branches from there, the branches from the midrib. The branches that is from the midrib, we are called as veins. They are called as veins. From the veins, there will be a lot of branches, it will be there. From the veins, there will be a lot of veins. They are called as veinlets. So midrib, from the midrib, the veins are formed. From the veins, the veinlets are formed. And the whole thing all together, we call it as leaf blade. Leaf blade or lamina. Leaf blade or lamina. Leaf blade or lamina. Next is, we are going to talk about the lobe. The lobe of the leaf. If you see the diagram here, you can see the diagram here. The round structure here, the round or pointed section of the leaf. This is called as lobe. The border of the leaf, we call it as margin. And the bottom of the leaf, it is called base. And this part, a leaf-like structure at the nodal region, we call it as stipule. These are all the different parts of the leaf. Next we are going to talk about the leaf base. The leaf base are known as hypopodium. The leaf base are known as hypopodium. The leaves are attached to the stem by their base, leaf base. This is the stem. The leaf is attached to the stem with the help of the leaf base. In some plants, for example, the cassia, Mimosa pudica, in the bean plant, the base of the leaf, it is swollen. Can you see it here? The base of the leaf is swollen. That is called as pulvinous. Pulvinous. This pulvinous is the one that is involved in sleeping movement. The sleep movement. Sometimes what will happen, when you touch the touchpin plant, it will shrink the leaf. That shrinking of the leaf, it is mainly because of the pulvinous, the swollen base. Next is, in the case of Musa paradisiaca, that is banana, the leaf base, it expands as a sheath. They have a sheathing leaf base. Sheathing leaf base, it will be there. They'll have a sheathing leaf base. The leaf, you can see the banana, it will be long leaf, it will be there. Whereas the leaf base is expanded and they form a stem. We call them a pseudo stem. False stems. False stems, it will be there. And next is, see the two different leaves here. One is called as, if the leaf base, it partially encloses the stem. The leaf base, it partially encloses the stem, covers the stem. That is called semi-amplexual. Semi-amplexual. Whereas, if the stem completely encloses, if the sheath, if the leaf base, if it completely encloses the stem, if the leaf base completely encloses the stem, it is called as amplexual. Amplexual. So two types are there. One is the leaf base partially encloses the stem. That is called semi-amplexual. If it completely encloses the stem, it is called as amplexual. This is about the leaf base. And next we are going to talk about the types of the shape of the leaves. Sagittate. Sagittate means triangular shaped leaf. It's called sagittate. Spatulate. Spatulate means spoon shaped leaves. It's like a spoon, it will be there. Like a teaspoon. In the case of calendula. Orbicular, a round type. In the case of lotus. Round leaf. And oval or elliptical leaf, we can see it in the case of Goa. Oval or elliptical leaves. And oblique. Oblique means the midrib. The center one is the midrib. It is prominent. And the leaf lamina are divided in two equal off. Like this. Exactly center. Two equal off it will be. That is called oblique. Oblique. These are all the type shapes of the leaf. Next we are going to talk about the petiole. the petiole, I have told you, petiole is the swollen, the leaf base, or the stalk of the leaf. We call it as petiole. It is also called mesopodium. So you can see it here. This is ecornea, the water hyacinth. Ecornea. The ecornea, you can see the leaf here. The petiole, it swells up. It swells up here. In the case of Nepenthes, the insectivorous plant, the petiole is modified into tendrils. And in the case of Australian acacia, this is acacia plant, it is modified into phyllodes. Phyllodes means flat green color portion. Okay, this is about the petiole. Petiole means the stalk of the leaf. The stalk of the leaf has certain functions are there. That is the one that exposes the plant to the sun, to get the sunlight, as well as it plays an important role in respiration, bringing fresh air to the leaf. That is about petiole. Next is lamina. Lamina, I have told you, the flat green portion of the leaf, it is called as lamina. Lamina has two functions. One is photosynthesis. Because the lamina, it has two functions. One is photosynthesis. The other one, it is transpiration. So two functions are there. The lamina, it has two functions. The lamina, it has mesophyll tissues. These mesophyll tissues that are present in the lamina, it has mesophyll tissues. The mesophyll tissues that are present in the lamina are involved in photosynthesis. And the other one, the leaf lamina, it has the stomata, which helps in transpiration. So these are the two functions of the lamina. Lamina only contains what? The flat green portion. It is called lamina. The lamina contains mesophyll tissues. These tissues are involved in the process of photosynthesis. And the lamina, in the epidermis, they'll have an opening. In the lower surface of the leaf, they'll have a small pores, which are called as stomata. Which helps in transpiration. What is transpiration? Loss of water. Loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant. It is called transpiration. So these are the two important functions of the lamina or the leaf, the flat green portion of the leaf. The other shapes of the leaf, we have acicular. Acicular means, for example, the casuarina, pines. They have long and pointed needle-like leaves. It will be there. Needle-like leaves are there. That's called acicular. The next type is called lanceolate. The lanceolate center, it will be broad, whereas it will be tapering at both ends. Example, the nerium. Linear, grass. The leaf, it is long and narrow, having parallel margins. The veins also, it will be parallel. Parallel veins, it will be. That's called linear. And next is ovate. Ovate are egg-shaped leaves. They will be broad base and the narrow top, it will be there. That's called ovate type. And this is cordate. Cordate means heart-shaped. heart-shaped leaves it will be there. And next is oblong. Oblong means long and broad lamina. Long and broad laminae. This is called oblong. These are all different types of leaves. Different types of leaves. One is acicular, lanceolate, linear, ovate, cordate and oblong. These are different types are there. Next is we are going to talk about the stipules. What are stipules? At the nodal region, in some plants, they'll have an extra appendages on either side of the leaf base. On either side of the leaf base. That is called the stipules. They are present on both sides of the leaf base. If the stipules are present in a leaf, it is called stipulate leaf. If the stipules are absent, it is called exstipulate. Exstipulate. And the stipules are of different types are there. Different types of stipules are there. Free lateral. It will be free to the lateral to the petiole. This is the leaf petiole. To that it will be lateral. They are present, independently present on both sides of the leaf base. That is called as lateral. And next one is called interpetiolar. That is in between the petiole. Intra, within the petiole. So this is the leaf. And then you'll have the petiole here. In between the petioles, we'll have interpetiolar stipules. That means 2 stipules and 2 leaves are found in the part of 4. You can see that 2 leaves it will be there, and both sides you have interpetiolar stipule. This is called interpetiolar. This is called intrapetiolar. Intra means within the petiole. The petiole is the stalk of the leaf. Within the petiole, the stipules are present. That is called as intrapetiolar stipules. The stipules are present within the petiole. That's called intrapetiolar. And foliaceous type of stipules form a leaf-like structures. You can see that the leaf-like structures. That is called as foliaceous. And scaly. Scaly means the stipules are dry, small and paper-like it will be there. Like this, a paper-like it will be there. It's called stipule. Scaly. And spiny. Spiny, the stipules are modified into spines. The stipules are modified into spines. That's called spiny. That is called a spiny. These are all different types of stipules are there. Next we have arcuate. In arcuate type, you can see that the stipule is joined together. It combines together with the leaf. That is called arcuate. Both stipules of leaf, they combine together to form a leaf-like structure. That is called arcuate. And adnate. The stipules are attached with petiole like this. It's called adnate. Tendrilar. The stipules are modified into tendrils. That's called tendrilar. And stipules are modified into bud scales. That's called bud scale. These are all different types of stipules. Different types of stipules are there. Children, next we are going to talk about the types of leaf after a short break. We'll go for a break for 5 minutes. And after the break, I'm going to explain about the types of leaves. The types of leaves. Children, we'll go for a break and come back. Just go for a break for 5 minutes and come back. And after that, I'm going to explain about the types of leaves. Children, if you have any doubt, You can post your doubts now. Welcome back, children. The next topic that we are going to talk today is about the types of leaves. You can see that there are three types of leaves are there. Three types of leaves are there. Simple leaf, compound leaf, doubly compound leaf. Simple leaf, compound leaf, doubly compound leaf. These are all three types of leaves. You can see that leaf, if it is single and the leaf blade, it is undivided, only one. Whereas the compound leaf and doubly compound leaf, there are many branches, it will be there. And in the compound leaf, you can see that axillary buds, it will be attaches to the leaf, to the petiole. Whereas in the case of simple leaf, the axillary buds are attaches to the base, the petiole, to the petiole. Whereas the axillary buds in the case of compound leaf they'll have a common axis. This is the common axis to which the axillary buds are attached. The buds are at the petiole, but here the buds are at the base of the leaf, the simple leaves. Next, we will talk about the types of leaves based on origin. Based on origin. The types of leaves based on origin. One is cotyledonary leaf, bracts leaf, foliage leaf, scale leaf. These are all different types of leaves based on their origin. The foliage leaf, you can see that green color leaves here. The green color leaf which are involved in photosynthesis, they are called as foliage leaves. The leaves which are green in color, which does the photosynthesis process, are known as foliage leaf. They produce food, that's why it is called foliage. Cotyledonary leaf. When you put a seed inside the soil, the seed, it will germinate. And the first thing that comes out, it is called cotyledon. At the center, only the true leaves, it will be there. That means, I'll draw the diagram for your better understanding here. Once you put the seed inside the soil, from the seed, what will happen? First, the radicle comes out. The radical give rise to the root. And then, the plumule. So, how it will be there? After some time, we can see the radicle. This is the radicle, the root. And this part, it is called cotyledons. And at the center of the cotyledons only, the leaves it will form, the foliage leaf. The first leaf, it will be at the center. For the development of the first leaf, the nutrients are provided by the cotyledon. The cotyledons, it provide nutrients for the growing leaves. The cotyledons, it provides nutrients for the growing leaf. Such leaves are called as cotyledonary leaf. They're called as cotyledonary leaf. Cotyledonary leaf. Next is bract. Bract are leaves which are present in floral axis. We can see it here. This is the bougainvillea. In the bougainvillea, the colored part what we are seeing, that is also a leaf, whereas the flower is the white color one. The white color one what we are seeing here, that is the flower, actual flower, whereas the rest thing here, what you are seeing here, the brightly colored, the bract are the leaves. And scaly leaf. Scaly leaf. For example, in the onion, the allium cepa, onion, this part what we are seeing here, the concentric rings that we can see here, they are called as leaf. They are called as the leaves, the scales. The leaves are usually dry membrane and they cannot perform photosynthesis here. They cannot perform photosynthesis. These are all leaf bases, the scales. And next is the floral leaves. The floral leaves are the sepals, petals, stamens and carpel. They are all the floral leaves because the flower is the modified shoot. This also comes under the category of leaf. These are all the different types of leaves. The next topic that we are going to learn today, it is about venation. What is venation? The arrangement of veins on the leaf blade. In the starting I have explained about the leaf blade, which is called lamina. In that, how the veins are arranged. How the veins are arranged, that is called as venation. There are two types of venation we can see here. One is called the reticulate venation, the other one is called parallel venation. Reticulate and parallel venation. Two types of venation we can see it here. Two types of venation we can see it here. One is called the reticulate venation and parallel venation. In the reticulate venation, the central vein, that is called the midrib, is there. This is the midrib. The midrib. And the veins are always, it grows on the sides. They give rise to secondary veins and then it forms the leaf margin. So this is the midrib. It has the veins. From that veins there are a lot of branches, it will be there. This is like a network. Like a net, it will be there. Network, it will be there. This type of venation, we call it as reticulate venations. Reticulate venations. The central vein, it occurs in the middle. And then from that branches, it will be, that's called secondary veins. It forms the margin of the leaf. That is called reticulate venation. The next is called the types of reticulate venation. We have pinnate reticulate, palmate reticulate venations. Children, these topics are very important in examination point of view. In examination point of view, these topics are very important. So I want you to concentrate in that. Okay. Reticulate venation, it is of two types. One is called pinnate reticulate, palmate reticulate. Pinnate reticulate. See the diagram here, pinnate type. All the veins except the middle vein. All the veins except the middle vein. This is the middle one, midrib. Middle one. It helps in formation of the network. Except the middle one. The mid vein, all other veins are involved in the formation of the network. That is called unicostate reticulate venations. Unicostate reticulate venation. This is one type of pinnate. And palmate reticulate venations. In the palmate reticulate venation, many midribs it will be there. You can see that these are the branches of the midribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see that many it will be there. Many midribs are there. 1 second. Many midribs are there. That's why it is called multicostate parallel venations. Multicostate parallel venations. In that we have divergent and convergent. You can see there, the divergent type, each midveins, it enters into each lobe. You can see that 1, 2, 3. There are 7 lobes it will be there. So each lobe's one midvein it will be there. That is called divergent type. Multicostate palmate divergent. The convergent type of venations, veins, it arises from the base and they join at the apex. This is called multicostate palmate convergent type of venations. The next is called parallel venation. Parallel, you can see the diagram here. The veins are arranged parallelly, occur parallel to each other. You can see that this is the midrib. The parallel veins are there. They are parallel to each other. In that we have pinnate parallel, palmate parallel venations. In pinnate parallel, the veins arise from the prominent midvein. This is the midvein, but they are all perpendicular manner. They are arranged one over the other. Horizontally one over the other they are arranged. This type of venation is called unicostate parallel venations. Unicostate parallel venations. Banana leaf an example for that. And then palmate parallel venations. The palmate parallel venation, many parallel veins are present, but you can see that there are only one midrib is there, whereas in the previous case, in the 7, you can see that there are 7 midribs it will be there, whereas here it contains only one midribs. But still they are called as multicostate parallel venation. The veins are parallel to each other. The first one, the convergent parallel venation type. Convergent parallel. And then this is convergent parallel, this is divergent parallel. Convergent means the veins arise from the midvein. It runs parallel to that and merge at the apex. It just runs like this on the sides and join at the tip apex. The divergent parallel venation, the leaves are separated by many lobes. Palmera leaf, many lobes. And each vein enters into the lobe. You can see that these are all each veins. But they are not midribs, they are all veins. This is the midrib. This is called divergent parallel venations. Divergent parallel venations. Children, do you have any doubt in the topic that we have learned so far? Girisha and Kyle, do you have any doubt? So far what I have explained? Okay, children. No doubt for Kyle. Girisha, do you have any doubt? Okay, children. What I'll do it is I'll stop with this now. I'm going to give an assignment to you now. So I'll give few questions for you to revise. I'm going to give few questions for you to take a short test. Okay, it's an open book test for you. I'll give questions to you now. I want you to find out answers for that and give it to me. Okay, from phyllotaxy, the modifications of leaves, inflorescence, all these topics we are going to learn in next class. Okay, child? The modifications of leaf, all these things we'll learn it in next class. Okay, child? Now, in the WhatsApp group, I'm going to send the questions to you. In the WhatsApp group, I'll send the questions to you. I want you to work out and I'll give you 45 minutes time. From now, 45 minutes time for you to give the answers to me. Okay, children, I'm going to give few questions to you. I want you to work out and give the answers to me. Okay, find out the answers. You can use your textbook or the study materials what you have with you. Find out the answers and give it to me. Okay, children? Yes. So now, if you have any doubt, the further informations I am going to give it to you in WhatsApp. Okay, now we'll wind up the class. I'll give the questions to you in WhatsApp, and you can also post the answers in the WhatsApp group. Okay, child? Is it clear to both of you, Kyle and Girisha? Kyle and Girisha, is it clear to both of you? Yes, children. Yes, children. Okay, I'll just wind up the class now. You can leave and then you can wait for the message in the WhatsApp. I'm going to send it to you now.